On one of Frank's trips aboard an ET ship, a Nordic showed him videos of the future. Frank saw giant ET ships moving slowly and deliberately over the world's oceans, removing the radioactive particles, along with mercury, pesticides, and other toxic chemicals. He told John, "Those ET ships were among the largest motherships I've ever seen, some were many kilometers long. The typical mothership looks like a giant vitamin capsule, a long tube rounded on each end. Or like a submarine, but without fins, propellers, or a conning tower. These giant cleanup ships were the same general shape. But there was one major difference: the entire bottom of each ship was flat. Rounded on top, but flat on the bottom. The ships were dematerializing the bad stuff that humans have been dumping into the air and oceans, the radioactive particles, poisons and toxins." Frank explained to John, their flattened hulls had something to do with cleaning up the mess. "The ETs told me that the flat bottoms help focus their technology downward toward the surface. However, I couldn't see any visible beams, or rays, light, or sound, nothing obvious at all. And yet, they were purifying Earth's atmosphere and ocean waters." Frank was astounded that they were doing a lot more than cleaning up the oceans. He said, "I saw that they were not just taking out the bad stuff, but at the same time, they were putting in good stuff. The ET ships were restocking the ocean with fish, shellfish, clams, and plankton, everything that had been killed by radiation. It reminded me of the Fish and Wildlife Department. When I was a kid, they would restock lakes and rivers with fish. They went out on the lakes in boats and dumped huge bins of trout into the lakes, thousands of fish. The ETs were doing the same thing, except on an enormous scale. Instead of restocking lakes, they were restocking the oceans. But that was not all. The ET ships weren't just replacing old life forms. They were also introducing new ones, plants and animals that had never been on Earth before but fit harmoniously with other of Earth's life forms." What the ETs were doing reminded Frank of the Cambrian explosion. He said, "The gardeners introduced new life to Earth about 500 million years ago. Now they're back. I couldn't see any of them, but I knew they were here. The last time the gardeners were around was 65 million years ago when the dinosaurs went out. But that's how they think. Very long term. To them, 65 million years is like last year to you and me. That was a major turning point for Earth. When the dinosaurs went extinct. And what we are going through now is the latest turning point. They've also come back for this one." Frank continued, "Unlike the fish and wildlife people, the ETs didn't have all these fish in big bins that they dumped into the oceans. No, the ETs were materializing them using genetic instructions. Can you imagine that? They were creating billions of life forms out of thin air and stocking them in the empty oceans." Frank said, "It didn't take the ETs long to finish the cleanup and restock the planet. They did it within just a few months.